Hello everyone and welcome to a new video of your Polyglot Academy. In this new series when we're going to attempt learning German as fast as possible. Today we're going to talk about how you can introduce yourself in a conversation, which is also super important also for the oral language exams at Goethe or Telk. So here you can see the 7 fundamental components which you must learn in order to introduce yourself. And these are that you have to say how to say your name, your age, your country of origin, your place of residence, how many languages you speak, your profession, and eventually your hobbies. So let's dive into it. So in order to say your name, you would just say hello. You would start a conversation by saying hello, and then you would say ich heiße, which literally means I am cold, and then blah blah blah. So in order to say your name, you would say ich heiße, etc. Or you can also say mein Name ist, which literally means my name is, and then you can just say your name. So this is pretty straightforward. So for example, if your name is Paul, then you would say Hallo, mein Name ist Paul, or Hallo, ich heiße Paul. Those are two different ways of saying it. So moving on, the last possibility would be also to say ich bin, and then the name. So in this case, ich bin Paul, which literally means I am Paul. So following on, you can use this ich bin also in order to say your age. And this is just like in English. In English, if you would say your age, you would just say, okay, I am 15 years old, I am 20 years old, and you would use the form I am. And that is exactly what we do in German. We also use ich bin, and then we say exactly like in English, like I am 20 years old. And that's basically the same in German. You say the number. So in this case, ich bin 18 Jahre alt. And that is basically the same. And in this case, the word old means alt. So it's basically the same. I would recommend you to learn by heart. Should learn by heart your age so that you will not have problems in this conversation by introducing yourself. So following on, in order to express your country of origin, because if you're learning German, then your country of origin is probably not going to be Germany. You would just say ich komme aus, and then the country you're coming from. And ich komme aus basically means I come from. So for example, if you have a guy who comes from Austria, then you would say ich komme aus Österreich, which means I come from Austria. So in this case, I would recommend you to learn how to say your country of origin in German so that you will not have any problems with that. Following on, in order to express your place of residence, you would say ich wohne in, and then the city you're living in. And ich wohne in basically means I live in, where the verb wohnen means to live. So for example, if you live in Milan, then you would say ich wohne in Mailand, which means I live in Milan. Or you could also say ich lebe in Mailand, which is simply a different way of saying that you live in Milan. So that's basically the same thing. That's just a synonym for that. Now we're going to speak about how to express how many languages you can speak. You would just say ich spreche, and then you would kind of make a list of the languages you can speak. And sprechen literally means to speak. So for example, if you would say that you can speak English, Russian, and a little bit of German, then you would say ich spreche Englisch, Russisch und ein bisschen Deutsch. And in my opinion, expressing the word or expressing the term ein bisschen is very important because it kind of shows that you are learning the language and that you're making progress with the language. So for example, during an oral exam, it would be very remarkable if you used the form ein bisschen instead of only listing the number of languages you can and the languages you can. So it would be kind of a way to distinct yourself. So it is very good for such exams. Now we're going to talk about how to say your profession. In this case, you would just say ich arbeite als, which means I work as. And in this case, you should remember the word or the verb arbeiten, which means to work. For example, if you are an engineer, if you would say that I work as an engineer, then you would just say ich arbeite als Ingenieur. And in this case too, it would be very important to learn your profession in German. So to learn the word for your profession in German so that you will not have any problems with that. but the way to express it is basically the same. You just say ich arbeite als and then name of your profession. So it's pretty straightforward in that case. But sometimes you might be under other circumstances. You might be unemployed, or you might be a student. So in such exams, it is also important to express your situation at certain times. You might just say ich bin arbeitslos, which means that you are unemployed, or you could also say ich bin Student, which means that I am a student or that you are a student. So it's very important to specify things. And lastly, we're going to talk about how to say your hobbies. In this case, there are various ways of saying that. What do you do in your free time? Well, it's mainly up to you to decide what to say. But an example would, for example, if you like to play football in your spare time, then you would say ich spiele gerne Fußball as an example. But in this case, you have lots of possibilities, so it's up to you. So yeah, this was it for today, and here's an exercise. Using the 7 points I listed at the beginning of the video, try to introduce yourself briefly, and you can write it either as a comment, or you can just say it as a kind of an exercise in order to be prepared for the oral exam, or just in order to become better at speaking German. It's up to you. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Hope you liked the video, and please write on the comments what could be better, and I'll see you next time.